I was one of those many people who saw the ads instantly after COVID reared its head, and I was freaking out thinking, what am I going to do with my firm next? Admittedly, my firm was having problems before COVID. We managed to become a seven-figure law firm in 2019, and we were very excited about the growth and success, but the reality is that I was effectively broke. I was taking home less than 10% of our revenue, and despite making over $1 million in revenue, very little of it was ending up in my pockets. So I'm married with 3 daughters, so I have several weddings to be paying for in the future, and I realized that the present course was unsustainable. Actually, my marriage was one of the potential consequences of having a business that was not successful. I was suffering, my family was suffering, my wife was suffering. She was looking for which family members she was going to move out to live with. Because COVID had shut down all criminal courts, we weren't taking up time going to trials and going into courthouses. So I was spending about 15 hours a day on the business and on the crash course, and Arnell was my crash course coordinator, and it was very comforting because he lifted up the hood of the business and said, there are good things happening here. You did a great job. The only thing we need to do is change absolutely everything about your business. And in doing so, what we realized was I was giving away too much to my associates. I was the third highest paid employee of Rohan Law. That shouldn't happen. The other thing was that we just didn't have any policies or procedures. I didn't want to micromanage my firm, and it turned out that not micromanaging the firm was exactly the wrong approach. So the biggest and most important thing we did was restructure the existing income that we had through our excellent CFO and Keith. And just in doing that, I doubled my take-home pay. Life is much more stress-free now. I get to sleep, something I wasn't doing before. I get to eat healthy, something I wasn't doing before. Stress was causing me to lose weight in an unhealthy way. It was causing tension and stress. It was making me be a very bad father. So I wasn't a workaholic in the sense that I wasn't working late hours, but the time I was trying to give my family, I was always preoccupied with how I could save my firm or how I could manage to make the ends meet before. Now I have financial security, and so that time I do dedicate to my family, including taking a half day off every Friday now, is dedicated playtime and dedicated stress-free time that I can enjoy spending time with them.
I was working all day. I would come home, like eat dinner with my husband, and get right on to looking at emails and reviewing documents until probably like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it just became like a 24/7 thing, which is not the reason that I decided to stay in my solo practice. And I would always tell myself this story of like, you'll always be a $10,000 a month lawyer, always. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. That's what people pay you. That's what you make a month. So I started looking around for coaches. I did have some other interviews with some other programs. I spoke with somebody in sales for how to manage. They said, oh, well, we're going to do this boot camp and it's in Orlando, and I'm in Orlando. So I was like, oh, that's convenient. When I sat in that room, I was like, okay, either I'm going to do this and like move forward and learn something from this and change my firm, or I'm going to close it up and just give up and go work for somebody. The business plan helped me decide and be clear on like what my goal was and why I was doing all of this. And it helped me break down, where I should be focusing my energy and how much, I should be charging to get to the number I wanted to get to. I had never done that before. It was always kind of just like, all right, whatever comes in, and whatever I do that month, I do. And so now with that business plan, I'm able to like look back on it and be like, okay, did I talk to as many prospective clients as I needed to this month? Did I close as many people as I needed to close this month to get to this ultimate number at the end of the year? And I think before I would tell myself the story of like, you have to be a 20-year practicing attorney to have any kind of success. Like, nobody's going to take you seriously. Like, you'll never be able to afford a building right now. Once I saw other people doing things and like breaking like their barriers, it inspired me to like push past this belief of like, I'm always going to be a $10,000 a month attorney. I can't afford staff. I have my office manager, legal assistant working with me part-time, as well as a full-time legal assistant / intake person, which I was coached to look for. And I can tell you it's been the best decision that I made. Why do I have my solo practice? Like, what was the purpose? And I think ultimately, like, I realized it was to have the family that I want to have and spend time the way that I want to do that in, and be the mom that I want to be. And I can very much tell you that that was like my biggest thing. And now it's all happening for me. And I have not been a $10,000 attorney in a very long time, I have to say. It's nice.
January. Go back to January. I'm laying in bed and next to my wife, and I'm staring at the ceiling, and it's way past my bedtime. And I'm literally like all but decided that I'm closing the law firm. That's it. Like, I'm just done. I'm done. Practiced law for this long. It's insane. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I've got a good degree. I'll go get a job doing something else. And I mean, that was terrifying. But it's literally seared in my mind, this moment when I'm laying there realizing that the financial freedom, the life that I promised was gone. This was 4.5 years ago. I know that pain, and I know that there's a lot of lawyers in this room. You guys have the courage to be here. There's a lot of lawyers out there who don't have the courage to be here, who are feeling that. Arjan said something years ago. He said, we completely overestimate how much we can accomplish in 1 year, but we totally underestimate how much we can accomplish in 5 years. I was taking home $60,000 a year, trying to support a family of 6. My firm's going to gross $1.6 or $7 million this year. I would have never, ever thought in my entire life that this was possible. And what's amazing is now I know how much more is possible. Like, that's what's crazy. How much more is possible? And so, like, not too long ago, my wife and I realized we were in a major rut. Like, after joining How to Manage, after growing a bunch, after doing masterminds and learning and expanding our vision, and we realized we were just in a huge rut. Cash crunch for like 9 months long. Anybody ever cash crunch that long? That sucks, holy cow. So 9-month cash crunch, finally we realized our vision was too low. We had literally capped out our vision. We had seen all we thought we could see. And so we got like in a scary, scary position. We stuck ourselves in a hotel room and said, we got to dream. We got to re-dream our life. And it's fun when when you're married to your high school sweetheart, of getting to dream over and over again. And we got to set these huge new dreams. And we realized one of our huge dreams that we had since we were first dating was to jump in a sailboat and go around the world. And so we crystallized this idea of, let's commit to doing that when our youngest goes off to college. That'll be brilliant. But we got like 10 years for that to happen, plenty of time. And then we got back to the office, back to the grind, and what set in? All the same crap, right? Well, then my wife's like, well, why don't we just do it in 3 years before the kids go to high school? Holy shit. Okay. So now we're planning to take a year off. And do I know how this is going to happen? Not exactly, no. But you know what? The decision comes first. We're going to figure out the how between now and then. That's the power of what we get here. It's to dream your life. That's what I give you guys. Dream your life.
Now, I'm not talking about things that are in your environment that you don't like, but you're too lazy to get rid of. And I'm not talking about people in your environment who you don't necessarily like, but you don't really care enough to remove them. I'm talking about things, people, routines, habits that are there, and you know the only reason they are there is because you fear the consequences of removing them. And every time you see that person, and every time you see that thing, or every time you engage in that routine, or every time the thing you want to bring into your life isn't there, it triggers that fear.
Some of you have just done so many amazing things in the last 90 days.
I'm doing 100% gross per month better than a year ago.
90 days ago, I said I was going to get this done. It's done.
And let's see, what we did in the last 90 days was my husband and I jumped out of an airplane.
Woohoo! Nice!
I know that by December, my monthly gross will be triple what it was when I joined. So in 18 months, I will have tripled my gross.
Woohoo!
We've had the 3 best months ever in I've been an attorney more than 20 years.
And from a business perspective, for the first time ever in my life, we actually projected and saw coming a cash crunch that was going to be pretty serious for us.
So I went home and I fired a bunch of clients, and they thanked me for firing.
I also, last October, committed at the microphone to run a half marathon, which scared the crap out of me.
Those clients that I fired started paying the bills while I was gone.
And on May 31st, I ran a half marathon already,
So I came back with more money than when I left, which was astounding to me.
It's just amazing. So I've changed my perspective. It's not luck, it's actually implementing what I'm learning here. So
That is fantastic. And I want everyone to take that personal growth that happens as you go back and listen.
This has been probably the best investment I've made into not only my law firm, but myself personally ever. I wake up every day blessed as to how I get to live and the life I get to give my kids. My kids are experiencing things I never dreamed of. We've had our best month ever while I was on maternity leave. I'm still on maternity leave. I started and ended 2020 on maternity leave because I had 2 kids in 14 and a half months. HTM helped me build the infrastructure, put the team in place, make a maternity leave plan so that I could do that and focus on the important things, building and bonding with my brand new babies. I had huge money mindset issues before I joined HTM. I didn't have a team before I joined HTM. I had a receptionist who was my everything girl. She did paralegal work, answered the phones, administrative things. Now I have, our director of first impressions. I have 3 attorneys who do all the billing. I have a sales team that ensures that the money gets in. I can continue to focus on managing the business and not worrying about the next client that we're signing. No program is some magic jelly bean that's gonna rocket ship you to success. You have to put in the work, but what I've learned here is that if you put in the work, you will get the results. The only thing you really need to think about is how do you want to live? How much money you want to make? What kind of life do you want your children to have? HTM can help you build that. It doesn't have to look like what I do. It doesn't have to look like what the next member does. You can tell HTM what you want to build and they will custom craft that for you.
Well, I mean, obviously, when the firm wasn't doing well, I wasn't doing well. I felt very defeated and, I lost some self-confidence, and it does trickle to your personal life. My husband was getting concerned because I was always so tired and depressed. At a point in my firm and my life where it was, okay, I need to either close down my firm or do something dramatic. So there was a 4-hour seminar that was offered, and I had listened to it, and at the end of it, it offered the boot camp, and so I jumped on that. It just sounded too good to be true. Turned out to be true, but yeah. So before doing the boot camp, I was ready to close shop. After doing the program, obviously, over a year later, I am still in business. I'm growing. Last month was the best month I ever had since opening the firm. And it's really helped launch my business and me personally with growth as well. You know, it takes a village to have a business. You know, because we as humans tend to get wrapped up in our own emotions and in our own head and our prior belief systems, whether they're right or wrong. And having people around you who are also trying to grow their business, who also have that business savvy and who are doing the same thing, kind of helps you put things in perspective and get, I want to say, grounded again. So instead of thinking with your emotions, you start thinking with your brain and the numbers and the facts, and everybody around you helps you bring you back to that. Oh, it's insane. I always tell my clients now, you have to have a business plan because it makes so much sense. If you don't have a goal, how are you supposed to reach it? You know, and that's what the business plan is. It's your goals. And then how are you going to implement that? And yes, it changes constantly. But at the end of the day, you have the plan, you have the goal, you know where you're going, and how you get there does change with the times, with the status quo, with the environment, you know, but you still know where you're going. You're still going in that line to get that goal that you've written in your business plan. Last year I did 146,000. This year I'm on my way to over 400. How to manage. I mean, the coaching, the tools, the implementation, the follow-ups, the LQMs, the whole program, it just keeps you on track and it shows you how to do things and what you need to do to get to your goals. And it's all one step at a time, you know? And you look back and you're like, wow, I'm almost halfway up the mountain already. That's one thing that I love most about How to Manage is it kicks you in the behind to get your stuff done so you don't have an excuse. How much growth I've done. I mean, going from 146,000 last year and then on my way to 400, over 400 this year with COVID and, you know, 5 months, 6 months of quarantine and everything else is just amazing to me. I would have never thought I could do this. Now that the firm's doing well and I have the support system and I have people to help me through any rough patches and to help me keep going, you know, my mindset has changed. I'm more positive and it reflects in my personal life as well. You know, I have more time to play with my kids. I'm at home for dinner every night. You know, I put them to bed and it just makes life so much better.
Yeah, life was not good. I was spending a tremendous number of hours at the office. I mean, I was leaving the office at 11, 12. I had one single assistant. One of the problems that I had was I spent too much time on the phone with potential prospects that wouldn't pay. We developed a business plan which helps you focus on goals. Those goals included a $2 million home. It's a great house. We just closed on it last week. We've been at it, I would say, for a year and a half. And you know what's interesting is, until I sat down at an HTM workshop, they helped me dream the dream. They helped me shape what I wanted. Has it brought results for me? Yes, I gotta tell you, for a guy that came back in the early 2000s with $100 in his pocket, I was flipping burgers at Whataburger. Once I decided to take action to get to that dream and started engineering the path forward with the assistance of my CEOs and the COOs, at that point, we developed an urgent need to go and seek out these million dollar houses out there and the best neighborhoods for our kids. With time, we eventually found out that it was possible. If you want to see the results, just ask yourself, from 1 to 10, how happy are you with your current life? Friend, if it's going to be a 6 or below, sign up. If it's going to be a 7 or below, sign up. And if you're a 10, hey, look, kudos to you, but there's got to be a goal out there that you haven't achieved, and if you really want to achieve it, this is the course for you. You owe it to yourself to do something different that will actually bring results.
If it works, it's good. If it doesn't, it fucking is useless. I don't care how pretty you look in the picture. I don't care how nice you look in the video. I don't care how beautiful your ad is. I don't care about all the compliments that your friends and your family give you because you ran the ad during their favorite television show. If it didn't work, it's useless. I don't care how ugly your fucking video is. I don't care that you shot the video while you were drunk at a restaurant one night. If it caused people to take action and you can measure the action, it was successful. For those of you who don't know me, we've never met, you've never spoken to me really one-on-one, I hope that you can take some comfort from all the people around you who has been coming to live quarterly meetings for at least 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, pretty consistently. Who's been growing your business 20, 30, 40, 50% per year, year on year on year, pretty consistently? You see the correlation? Thank you. There's a very clear correlation between the people who have been working together with us, letting us be their managing partner, letting us be their chief operating officer, letting us be their chief financial officer, and the people who are growing their businesses. And I'm going to share some things about the life that I had then and the life that I enjoy now. And I want you to give me the benefit of the doubt and understand that I'm not sharing these things I'm babbling. And I'm babbling because I'm nervous. And I'm nervous because what I'm sharing is very personal. And I actually had a conversation with my wife, and I asked her permission if I could share some things about how we live with you. Some of you have been to our home. Some of you have experienced the way that I live. And most of you haven't. And I asked her for permission. Can I talk about this publicly? Can I put some real numbers to it to put this in perspective? And the reason why I'm nervous is not because I'm embarrassed about it. I'm not embarrassed about it. Believe me, I am not embarrassed about enjoying the way that I live. I have worked my ass off to live the way I live. I have gone through hell to be able to enjoy living the way that I live. I have earned every fucking dollar of it. When I was broke, I invested my last dollar on coaching. When I made a little bit of money, I invested my last dollar on more coaching. When I started to make some decent money, I still lived like shit because I was putting all of my money back into my business. I have moved my home 7 times in 9 years. So believe me, I am not embarrassed about what I get to enjoy today, because I know that the reason I get to enjoy it is because I help so many of you.
We were new and didn't know how to run a business. We were learning to be lawyers and also learning to run our own firm. My partner and I are partners in the firm as well as in life. So it was difficult, and I am a resource junkie. So I was looking all over for something to give me the guidance to run a successful law firm. And I just wanted to make sure that, I was choosing the right options all the time. And there are so many options for so many different things. So I actually never pulled the trigger on anything because I was still collecting resources to figure out which one I wanted to pull the trigger on. So that's where I was when I was introduced to HTM. It was refreshing because I like structure. And I felt like the boot camp had a lot of structure, a lot of do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And that really works for me. It was a lot of work. You definitely have to put your best foot forward to keep up. There were plenty of times that I had to work a little extra to make sure that I was getting the assignments and everything done. But overall, it was a good experience. Can be a little bit overwhelming because it's a lot, but like I said, overall, it was a good experience. HTM has definitely provided me with more comfort. Granted, I'm still a little uncomfortable all the time, but I at least have goals to meet and things to accomplish, more laid out versus kind of in my head. And I think for me that really helps us grow. So yes, our life has changed personally as well as business wise. We're making a lot more money. We're a lot more organized, and it's only up from here. Okay. So before HTM, it was our first year of practice, and it's 2 attorneys. So between the 2 of us working in the firm and on the firm, we made about 60,000 before HTM. And we joined HTM in April of 2019 through the boot camp. And that second year, we made about 150,000, if I'm not mistaken, about that much. And for this year, we're on track to bring in about 220. Our goal was 250 from the boot camp. That's what we set, but we're looking at about 220 for this year. So we have had like a lot of growth, a lot of changes, a lot of mindset changes with regards to spending money to make money. And yeah, a lot of changes. Things have changed. We don't come from a lot of money. So to think about spending any thousands of dollars on our mindset or to progress was a huge shift for us. And now we understand the value of it. We're still working on it. We're not completely there, but we're still working on it. And we with our coach's help, we are definitely progressing and understanding that money is fluid and you gotta kind of let it go in order to get more. The coaches are really on your butt or your ass for sure. It is surprising that they care so much. And I know they have, other mentees or clients than just us, but they 100, or she, our one CEO, she's really like on us and helping us try to figure things out. So I think that's the mentorship and the hand-holding is what really surprised me the most. The only resistance that I would say we had initially was onboarding certain things that we needed in the firm because it was going to cost more money, and we just didn't see the money. Even though we were making money, it didn't feel like we had money to pay anyone other than ourselves, So that was kind of the resistance. It took us a little while. We were always in agreement with it, because sure, you need those kind of things, but were we ready to do it right then? No. So that was the thing that was kind of difficult for us. And it took us a little while, but we did it. We onboarded the people we needed to onboard to make sure that we are taking care of our firm. The firm has grown more than 50%. I think it was like 2 or 3 times more than what we had before we joined HTM. We have now onboarded a bookkeeper. We have 2 paralegals, and then ourselves, which are the 2 attorneys in the firm, which has given us a lot of time to actually work on the business, whether in the business as lawyers. So the firm has definitely grown. in numbers as well as in staff. And that's another thing with the mindset. Hiring staff should probably be one of the first things that one of your goals, is getting people in to help you out so that you can free up your time and get more clients, because that's how you're going to keep the money coming. And it took us a while to, like I said, to let the money go so that we can make more money. And I'm happy that we've done that now. I actually have some of the other members as my referral sources in my community, and others. Like some of my resources are like they practice federal law. So I can refer clients even though I'm in Texas and they're living in another state. And then others are here in Texas. So it's definitely been a good change to just have people that are succeeding and kind of on the same path as we are. Having examples of where we're trying to get to, and then being a part of the program for, just a few years and being able to share their experiences has been really great. So the community with HTM, it's a small bubble, but it is quality for sure. I already knew before I went there, because I told you I'm a resource junkie. I already knew a lot. I had reached out to HTM probably about a year before I started the boot camp. So I already knew what it was about, and I was very excited and interested in being a part of it prior to even getting there. So the inclusion was, I guess, my most favorite part. I felt very included even though I hadn't joined yet. They let us in on a lot of different things prior to being a part of HTM. And I thought that was really awesome that they were really, willing to give resources and willing to kind of give you a hands-on experience. And the energy at the Discovery Day was just awesome. And I like that everyone was very down to earth, no BS, they just were like, hey, where do you want to be? You want to grow or no? So that was probably my most favorite part, was that we felt very included. That was definitely a surprise for me. That was a part of the handouts that they had given for us to kind of write down and dream and set goals. That was very surprising because I've never thought of that aspect with regards to the business. But it helps you in setting true goals. It really does, because I've made more money now than I've ever have, and I plan to make more. But you have to have a why, and with that why, or with HTM, they've helped us develop that why more detailed so that we can, have it on paper and see where we are and not feel bad about it. Because sometimes you can get to a place where you feel bad about having so much money or wanting such expensive things. And HTM has definitely helped us with our mindset with regards to that, because who's to say what you can and can't have but yourself, or make you feel bad about things because other people around you may not have it, so that was very much a surprise, and it was a pleasant surprise. I do feel like my life is better now, mainly because I feel less overwhelmed because I have the resources and the support to actually do something that I've never done, which is build a successful law firm. I've never done it. I don't know anybody that has, other than, internships and things like that, but just on the, grassroots type of thing, getting everything off the ground. Yes. The answer is yes, for sure. If you are a new attorney or an old attorney that's not making the money that you want to make or scaling to where you want to scale, you need to check HTM out for sure, because it definitely is worth your time.
Be able to enjoy, because it's pretty cool to be able to look at a giant pile of shit and say, there's the opportunity in that giant pile of shit. I've made a lot of money with that ability, and most of it is really just making up your mind to that there is an opportunity there. And when you look at something and you say there is an opportunity here, there by the laws of the universe, there must be an opportunity here. Whenever I have a problem, just having that kind of click in your mind is very often what opens you up to the possibility to receive.
Personally, I traveled twice that I didn't expect. I got to go see my daughter and son-in-law in New York, and I saw my son in where Delta Don't Fly, Texas over Thanksgiving. And I was able to take my second daughter with me to New York and then also to Miami.
And so that we went from a 1,500 square foot house to a 3,000 square foot house. I have 3 kids. It's like we didn't know what we didn't have until we had it. It's like Lynn's happy, my kids are happy.
I actually made more money, a lot more money than I did in 2018. My little one has been in 9 first-class cabins.
Broke the $1 million barrier in December as well. And then on December 24th, my wife and I took home a baby that we had adopted. One of the greatest things about hitting the $1 million mark is that when it's time to write the check for the adoption, you can easily do it without batting an eye.
We bought our dream home in Parkland on an acre lot.
Our daughter got into grad school, into her program of choice in the Netherlands.
I've gained my confidence. I actually had HTM members come up to me and not recognize me because I'm actually confident, glowing confidence, which is great.
Personally, I averaged 1 day a week out of the office, either personally or working on the business.
My personal goal, I had set a year ago to do a TED Talk someday. I didn't really set a time frame, but in the past 90 days, I've secured my first TED Talk in March, and I'm really excited.
And literally, I went and got the car anyway, and I got every fucking feature I wanted. And I drove that car back to the office, and I got a call from my associate that we had just had a huge settlement of like $400,000 come in.
To Italy, a trip for her birthday that myself and another friend planned, so I was able to do that.
Be able to see the positive things, including buying a house in my dream neighborhood that I used to drive through and say, how can people make this much money to afford this? How do they do it? I bust my ass and can't do it myself. And I'm seeing the way that life can be, and it's a beautiful thing.
Second thing is 90 days ago at the last LQM, I stopped eating sugar and junk food, and I've lost 19 pounds.
One of those moments where I was like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. I should just go get a job. And I'm happy to say this has been our best quarter ever. We had 2 months where we met our numbers and exceeded them, which was really awesome. And we've hired 2 new employees who seem to be rock stars. So things are definitely on the up and up. And I've lost 10 pounds. So that's good.
But it has made a world of difference. I've calendared going to the gym, Mike. I've lost 5 pounds since the last LQM. We calendared our 3 vacations out for the next period of time. We've paid for 2 of those already.
And oh yeah, I paid off $140,000 in consumer credit card debts.
Before starting HTM, I think that the right word is shame, like ashamed that I wasn't doing whatever it is that I needed to do, wasn't working hard enough. I was working really hard, harder, I think more hours than when I was at a big law firm. But for some reason, it wasn't yielding the results that I wanted. I think coming from this big law background and in law school in general, you start to learn, if you're smart enough, you'll figure it out, which in some ways is a great type of motivator for those of us who love academics. But there is something very egotistical to think that just going to law school is going to teach you how to be a great business person. And at that point, before joining HTM, I was not a great business person. I'm still learning now. In the past year, I've grown my business by 600%. We are a team of 7 now. Before I was a team of just me, working really, really hard. I feel so much more positive. I feel like when I'm struggling with things, I'm in a group of very high-performing people who will help A big one for me is building a firm that has the systems and procedures and team in place that can operate when you step away from the office. I resisted HTM for maybe a year and a half. They were patient with me. They kept growing and getting better while I was sitting on the sideline. I wish I would have joined sooner. I would have spent less time spinning my wheels, and I would have gotten the advice that I needed. What was holding me back was fear. And so if that resonates to anybody listening to this, if you're feeling that fear and you can't just wipe it away, I think that, HTM is still going to be there. But as somebody who waited a year and a half, I wish I would have done it faster, and I wish I would have been braver sooner, because it was absolutely worth it.
But I think our John really hits the nail on the head, and that is, like any trip that you're going to take in a car or something like that. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? The business plan and the boot camp help you to be a better leader. And if you are a better leader, your team is going to be better for it. Your business is going to be better for it. Personally, I enjoyed the boot camp. I enjoyed it very much. I looked forward to it every week. The boot camp was extremely informative. It was well laid out, very well managed. It's kind of almost like taking a bar review course. You look at the information that you're going to be given and the ground that you're going to cover, and you think, how am I going to do that? But if you do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, and stay up with it, it is extremely manageable to go through the boot camp. It just made sense. And when I went through the boot camp each week, it just made sense. Having policies and procedures, I knew that I needed them. I didn't know how to do them. And even if I did know how to do them, I didn't know how to break them down and what topics I ought to be covering. And it was a 2-hour boot camp experience on that. And at the end of the 2 hours, I had perfect clarity. I had pages and pages of notes. I had a step plan for how to create administrative, internal, and external policies and procedures. I knew exactly how to break it down. I knew exactly what it needed to look like. And then I could do it to fit my business. After I had the template, I could easily use it to either manage a 5-person law firm or a 10-person law firm or a 1-person law firm. And now it's all in writing. And the boot camp told me, okay, this is how you're going to do it, and this is when you're going to do it. You're going to take it in little bite-sized chunks. So this month you're going to get this much done, and next month you're going to get that much done. And my CEO holds me accountable to that. And he wants to see those things, and he wants to talk about those things. And then we figure out, now that we have it, how do we make it better? So I had the stuff in my mind. I just didn't know how to get it on paper. And then I didn't know how to get it onto paper into practice. That was the key to the boot camp. And the whole thing just made sense. And that was the revealing moment, is that it just made sense. Why not do it if it makes sense?
Back when I was running this as more of a practice and more of a job, when Allie got sick, I had an excruciating decision to make. I had a heartbreaking and excruciating decision to make, and I think I made the right choice. And the choice that I had to face was, do I take care of she wasn't my wife at the time, but do I take care of my wife, or do I keep cranking the wheel, cranking the wheel, cranking the wheel, cranking the wheel? In my practice, we burned through all of our credit. We liquidated all of our assets. We sold everything. I mean, we had nothing. And when we lost the house to foreclosure, we moved into an apartment. I'm not kidding you. It was like maybe the size of this stage. A $10,000 decision back then, not would have, it did stop me in my tracks. I had the opportunity to make a decision back then. It would have cost me $10,000, and I didn't make that decision. And you know what? If I had made that decision and it worked, I might have avoided a lot of the heartache and a lot of the problems that I later experienced. And from there, we rebuilt up to $6 million last year, and we've already done over $2 million in the first quarter of this year. And I'm not saying these things to brag. I'm saying these things to humble myself and to tell you I was down. I was down because I got a very simple formula wrong. There's only 3 parts to this formula. If you get them right, things can go very, very well for you very, very easily, very, very quickly. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not easy. I'm saying it's worth it.
We are on track to do $500,000 in revenue this year, which was about twice what I thought we'd be at this time last year when I opened my firm.
So quick question.
Yeah.
Third quarter you expect to be your worst quarter, and it wasn't. Why?
We just doubled down. We made nurturing existing relationships the #1 priority.
Gas calls.
Gas calls. That's it. That's it. I mean, it's a mindset
did
change.
You say all you did was gas calls?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And in December, our John was talking about gas calls. So I was like, end of December, I had 2 clients when I started, heard his, and I ended up with like 6 additional clients. Since December of 2018, with what I deposited last week, I've seen 150% growth in my firm in 10 months. That's amazing. I can't hide. I can't, just run away and not have my calls. I've got to do it, and I've got to be able to show growth.
I attended several Chamber of Commerce events, made over 30 gas calls in a month. Last year we got $500,000. This year, I think we're going to do about $720,000. So,
the bigger you are, the more money you're leaving on the table. If I sit back and look at our closing rate, and we did 2.3 last year, our closing rate was about 50%. That means we left $2.3 million on the table. How could we not be here? It's all about closing. It's all about sales. If you want your numbers to be better, whatever those numbers are, you need to be doing this workshop and the Dragon workshop, because you're never going to get to where you need to be without being absolutely fearless. And you will learn to be fearless here.
Fine-tuned and really tweaked our gas call script for calling cold leads that didn't hire us or calling prior clients. And then we also took the time to really go through our intake system, because we discovered when we were calling people all these holes in our intake, instead of being like, later we're going to take care of that, we took care of it today. So we feel awesome about that. Yes. And we closed $57,600.
$57,000 in 3 days.
In 3 days.
And you've got how many appointments booked?
Total about 8. Yeah, about 8 to 12, somewhere in there.
With an average value of how much?
$5,000 each.
The last 90 days have been great for me. I surpassed my 2018 gross revenue, and I'm on track to break the 7-figure mark for 2019. Looking forward to doubling down on the gas calls and the potential referral source meetings and all that stuff to blow that target out of the water.
Before How to Manage, we didn't understand how to set goals. It was just kind of, well, whatever came of it or whatever happened, that's just what happened. It was almost like, okay, let's see what happens. We'd take a vacation, but you're not really, because you're like, oh, check that email, okay, call the office. You know what, I just need to talk to this client, or you know what, I didn't get this out, I just got to do that. And then be the whole vacation, and you come back and there's the pile of work, so you pay for it for another week. Now it's just not like that, because our team, they know what to do. And so we can go on vacation and enjoy it. And then when we come back, there's not piles and piles of stuff. It is so much nicer, so much better. What I would say to people who are hesitant about whether to join or not, one, it's incredible. If you want to build your business, if you want to set goals, achieve them, and have that better lifestyle and have that stuff, and not at the expense of time with your kids, it's a no-brainer. You've got to do it. If you're not really serious about that, then that's where it's like, well, okay, You know what, there's a ton of excuses why you could say, I'm not going to. Oh, it's too much. No, it's not. Before we joined, I mean, we were at like 800,000. We're about to make $3 million this year, which is incredible. The investment we make to How to Manage pales in comparison to what we have been able to achieve. And so that's really not an excuse. That's not like a viable excuse. Before How to Manage, I spent so many hours in my law firm. Now, thankfully, and it's been tough work to do there and get there, but I spend so much less time. I have so much more time with my family. So it's not a time thing. It really comes down to like a conviction. Do you really want to achieve those goals or do you not? And if you do, this is the way to do it.
You know what? I need to start doing things a little differently by taking some risk in my business. I signed up for the boot camps because when you're not when you don't take those risks, you don't really know what your potential is. As lawyers, a lot of times we're kind of like trained, okay, you're in this for someone else, you're helping someone else. So it's kind of like ingrained in you to like, don't think about yourself. That thirst for information of how do I go to the next level? How do I make this work so it makes sense? How do I take this next step? And HTM helped me do that through the boot camp. But I think you get so wrapped up in the vision of like the success that you can have. They're gonna push you to the uncomfortable zone with the purpose of what part of you is it that is holding you back. It's kind of tailored so that, your business and you are kind of coached from a holistic approach as opposed to, well, what problem are you dealing with today? Even now, when I talk to solos that have been practicing for so long, it's like there's kind of an expectation that you're really not going to make that much money in the beginning, or that it's going to really take you some years to kind of get your foot in the ground and figure things out. Those same individuals that I was talking to and asking for information, like they're coming to me like, wow, like you're growing so fast. Wow, you have, like you've been able to accomplish this. And that took me 10 years to do. Like, what are you doing? I would have never imagined that I would have been able to have my own space individually and, have things set up the way that I want and have staff. I still did, even though I had the space, I still didn't imagine that I would have employees, like plural. But in terms of like the growth, it's been very exponential in a sense, like beyond what I could expect.
Another member started her practice roughly at the same time I did. She was in the same building, and I went to her initial open house, and it was an office about the same size as mine, 6,800 square feet. Within 2 years, she was doing a $50,000 build out into a bigger office, and I want to know what happened, like what's the magic pill? So it took me a couple weeks to get on her calendar. We went to lunch, made small talk, and I finally said, hey, so what are you doing that I'm not? And she says, I'm going to send you an email, and there's going to be a link there, and somebody's going to call you, and you have to make a decision. That's as far as she went. So I was certainly intrigued. So I got the email, clicked the link, was sent some materials from How to Manage, looked at the videos, it really intrigued me, and then about 2 weeks later I got a call from somebody from How to Manage. It was very interesting. He asked me, what I wanted to do, where my firm was at, and then told me that he needed my credit card number and I was going to Vegas. And on top of that, if I didn't join up, they would give me some money for some of my incidentals. And I thought, well, heck, why not go to Vegas? If I don't like it, I'm going to get a couple bucks and have a trip. And so that's what got me involved with HTM. Once I went to Las Vegas and I went through Discovery Day, I had a pretty good idea that I wanted to join before I actually got there. But once I got through the Discovery process, it was a no-brainer for me. My wife was with me, and we made the decision to join. And 2.5 years later, here I am. Since I've joined How to Manage, the first year my gross revenues went from $225 to $550, and then the second year from $550 to $770. In this month, we'll do $250,000 this month. Well, what I say to somebody who's on the fence of joining How to Manage, I tell them to go to Discovery Day. It doesn't cost them anything, and just check it out. And then I tell them, about my successes and where I was at from a personal standpoint, a financial standpoint, from a practice standpoint. And I think a lot of my friends I've had these conversations with have certainly seen the changes. To not at least check it out is a huge disservice to yourself and your family.
Lawyers just have been told when they're in law school, you think you're working hard now, wait till you start practicing law. Most of us lawyers just haven't a freaking clue as to how to go about being business people. How to manage was the first time I heard about applying business techniques and tactics to a law practice, and I figure, holy crap, let me give this a shot. And I like it quite a bit. I would throw myself into it and work my ass off. 12 hours, 15, 18 hours a day. I no longer do that because I recognize that working less is actually better for my personal growth and business growth. It's a great program because it's wonderful to listen to other people who are like-minded and understand the problems of the legal industry from that perspective. You don't find that, out in the general legal community very much, if at all. But they're all in the same place I am in terms of wanting to make their profession a manageable, day-to-day, good operational business that will always be there, so that this way they'll be able to work less. So I'm amazed. I think the most surprising is my willingness to really enjoy personal growth. Well, I'm much more focused on putting together policies and procedures because I see the need for them to make my life better as a law firm owner. And I also have now systematized a marketing and sales program that I didn't have before. And How to Manage has helped me solidify and systematize my referral practice much greater than it ever was. And I mean this with all my heart. I've never encountered a group of people who give more than How to Manage people. They are absolutely freaking wonderful. If it can work for a 73-year-old fat white guy, who can it work for? What the hell?
Let me tell you, as someone who has failed horribly, failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Some of you already know this story. Some of you have heard this story a number of times, but I'm going to repeat it because the people who are new to our community, they have to understand some of what makes this a very special place. Allie, my wife, was making a lot of money in her job. As a couple, we were, typical yuppie, young, upward, professional people. We had the cars and the boats and the beautiful condo on South Beach and, the lifestyle, right? And then Allie got sick. While I was caring for her, my practice went to shit. And by the time we got through that whole experience, and thank God she's now fully recovered, by the time we got through that experience, the cars were gone, the real estate, the investment properties all had to get sold, the assets all had to get liquidated. Ultimately, we took the keys to the condo and actually had to turn the condo back to the bank. I mean, it was bad. We were broke. The day came when I had to just be honest with myself. I had to be honest with myself about why I was where I was. And I had to recognize and accept that all of the things that I was experiencing were effects, not causes. And if I wanted to make my life better, if I wanted to recover financially, if I wanted to live the life of my dreams, I had to focus on the causes and stop getting distracted by the effects. Building a bigger business, building a more profitable business empowers you to do more good for the people you care about. It empowers you to do more good for your family. It empowers you to do more good for your community. It empowers you to do more good for your clients and your customers too, and your staff. That's why it's so cool when you come to a community like this and you find people who have already built $500,000 $500,000 business, a $1 million business, a multi-million dollar business. Because what you discover is that we're all dying to meet someone who isn't full of shit. And when you can find someone, it doesn't matter if they're just getting started, if they're sincere, if they're serious, if they believe in themselves, if they're taking action on the causes that we know lead to the effects that they say they desire, it's all we can do to stop ourselves from trying to help them. I promise you that's true.
Well, I signed up for this program. It's the gas call program. And in the space of probably 2 weeks, I've gotten back several forms, multiple forms, like maybe 5 or 7 forms. And out of those 5 or 7 forms, I have so much information that I have to delegate what to do with all this information. But more importantly, I've gotten 2 clients out of it. And the 2 clients that I've got are going to probably be worth about $6,000. So I, for sure, 100% signed up for the rest of the program, and I cannot wait to see what else happens from here. And this is absolutely the best marketing that I have done in a long time, and it's certainly better than the marketing that I wasn't doing at all. Because you don't just get like name, rank, serial number, and this is what they said. It's very, excuse me, it's very detailed. You get name, rank, serial number for sure. You also get the basis, like the whole conversation that they had. Like, what's new in your life? Because that way I don't have to trust that my caller is asking them, they might have missed something. They narrate basically the whole conversation that they had, and a relationship that's improved. Because by the way, I was speaking with the person who's doing the estate planning thing, and it might sound like small potatoes, but I recorded her going on and on and on and on about how wonderful our staff is, and how so awesome that we're checking in on her, and that she can't believe that we're the kind of firm that would do this for her. And she tells all of her friends about us and everything, and she's going to give us a Google review, and she let me record the whole thing. So, wow, look, my first impulse was like, holy shit, like, wow, this is incredibly effective. I'm not going to talk about your price point because that's up to you. But for me, it was like, it's just like you said at the LQM, what you do is the most important thing. Like what is actually getting done is the most important and effective part of your marketing. So if you have if you have pie in the sky ideas about making gas calls all day and all night, but you don't do it, you're stunk.
So what do you want to tell everyone who's on the alpha test list who hasn't yet given us their list?
Well, I say take your time, brother, because I'm going to take all your calls. That's a no-brainer. No, seriously, look, I know, Arjana, you're going to take care of all of us. I get that. And there's limitations on the resources. And I get that too. If you're not getting your list over there, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving so much on the table. Look, sorry, I'm from Michigan. I can't let go of, but what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, get out there, like, give it. Just take the plunge. Just do it. It's better than what you're not doing now. So it's better than what you're not doing now. I promise you. It's gonna, if you don't do this, you only have yourself to thank for the results that you don't get.
I have asked tens of thousands of some of the most highly educated human beings on the planet, what do you want? It's a simple question. I think you'd mostly agree. What do you want? Right? How do you want to be living your life? What kind of house do you want to be living in? What kind of car do you want to be driving? What kind of domestic services would you like to employ? How would you like to be able to educate your children? How much free time would you like to have? What do you want to do with your life? And they don't think. They've been trained not to think. They don't have answers to the most basic, fundamental questions of human existence. How do you want to live your life? Most people have a feeling which triggers a thought. which causes a reaction. To be a real thinker, you must first have a thought, which controls your feelings, so you are in control of your actions. Tens of thousands of lawyers who I have met all over the country, men and women, old and young, black and white, Asian, Hispanic, left-handed, right-handed, tall, short, you name it, they have no control over their actions because they're not in control of their thinking, because they're not in control of their feelings. You've got to control what you're thinking about in order to control how you feel about what's happening around you. Then you can be proactive in your actions. I ask people, why? Why do you do what you do? Why don't you do what you don't do? And what I get is bullshit. They have no real explanation for why they do what they do. They have no real explanation for why they don't do what they don't do. They're just drifting through life. And when you do get an answer from them, it's an answer someone else gave them. I do what I do because that's the way it's always been done. I don't do what I do because that's not the way our family does things. People like us don't do things like that. People like us always do things like this. Why? 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 And when you get down to it, what you find is nothing. A hollow vessel of bullshit. And that is their life. They live lives of bullshit. They make bullshit decisions based on no real reasons for anything. They have bullshit law firms that are based on nothing. Their marketing is bullshit. Their sales is bullshit. Their financial controls are bullshit. Their workflow processes are bullshit. Their staff is bullshit. Their goals are bullshit. Everything's bullshit. They're living hell on earth, and they wake up every morning and they recreate it because they won't take seriously the question of why do you do what you do and how do you want to live your life. They won't think. And if the only people who are checking or who are helping you check your own thoughts, if the only people who are helping you check how you're thinking about what you're thinking about are the very same people who are thinking about the same things in the same way you're thinking about them, it's just bad. Y'all get that? Writing a business plan requires you to think. Making an excuse for why you haven't gotten around to your business plan is drifting. Establishing financial, personal, and professional goals requires thinking. Making an excuse for why you don't have financial, personal, or professional goals is an example of drifting. Taking 100% personal responsibility for everything that's going right and everything that's going wrong in your business requires real thought and clear thinking. Blaming everyone around you, blaming circumstances, blaming the economy, getting together with a group of lawyers at a bar association and exchanging stories and reasons and excuses for why things are the way they are, that's drifting. You must always have someone outside of your business, outside of your family, outside of your circle of friends, outside of your peer group to help you think accurately about how you're thinking about what you are thinking about.
Some of the biggest breakthrough moments have been realizing how bad I have been at using my time wisely, I'll put it that way, because one of the things I learned is you can't manage time. So just not paying attention to the time that I have, not paying attention to the time that I waste or wasted, whether I am bombarded with something outside that would normally sort of distract me and send me on a rabbit trail, just kind of having some of the lessons that I have learned through Small Law Firm University in my head have helped me to sort of stay on track. This is my first LQM since I've been a member. So far it's been great. I met 4 other members, and just to hear where they are, one of the members asked, hey, who's still doing client work? And no one but me. But I'm solo, so it's okay. I mean, I'll get to that point, but just hearing even some of the challenges and some of the things that they spoke about at lunch about not doing client work. The dangers of getting sucked into doing client work. What I'm most excited about is applying the lessons that we've learned in the first 2 sessions to my practice, because it's exactly where I am. Like, getting my marketing, in place and getting the machine going. This topic could not have been more timely. I would say to someone who is on the fence, it's a great community, it's a great place to learn and to grow no matter where you are. And so I would say jump in, the water's fine.
There's a certain energy in the room when you come to the HTM gatherings. Everybody really has an excitement for growing their practice, for making a better life, for helping people.
Which is so fun to come and see everybody and ask how their quarter went and what new things are they implementing in their firm.
We can be happy for them with their successes, and they're happy for us with our successes.
Real quick, how many people had their best year ever? This is a very motivational time.
All the LQMs have been so jam-packed full of valuable information.
The content is very thoughtful, it's very inspiring, it's very motivating. It systematically takes you through all of these different pieces of what it is to manage a business.
It's everything from what kind of office should you be in to how do you market your firm.
There's always something new.
Things we can implement, just ways to make life better.
I promise that if you play all in, you will know more about your business than you ever imagined you could possibly know.
This is not a passive thing where you're just going to come and they're going to give you the magic formula.
You can't get this in a book. You can't get it on YouTube. You really have to go through this very detailed and rich content.
You're going to work harder than you ever have before, but you're going to work harder on the things that are going to drive you forward.
You will lose less sleep over your decisions. Your business will create more value for more people in the world. Your business will be more profitable.
When I first joined How to Manage, I was making about $3,000 a month, and I was hoping to just make $5,000 a month. And when I saw people come to the mic and talk about $30,000 and $40,000 months, I didn't understand it. What is that? And now I'm doing it, and it's so normal. And $1 million is so in my sight.
What I like most about the Small Law Firm University is the coaching and holding me accountable. And I'm one of those, I put things off if I can. And I also like it because you have 12 weeks of going through it, and then it's stepping you through the process. And to me, it felt sort of like having a mini MBA. I'm learning the things that I need to grow my law firm, and being able to have that weekly call, and in my case, talk to James and be able to either on that call or email him at any time and be able to get information back on my homework that I'm doing. I've literally probably made more in the last 3 months than I probably made the last year. I really like it a lot. There's so many great people here. The atmosphere is so energetic and it's so positive. It's so different than being like in a bar function, you know? When you go to bar functions, it's like, you know, everything's so negative and pessimistic and you come out feeling worse about yourself. But being here, it's like, you talk to so many people and I'm talking to people that are where I want to be. And so I can see, okay, it can happen. It's happened to them and they're so willing to help you. You know, everybody is so giving of their knowledge and information, and they're willing to help you get to where they're at. And it's just really great. I love it. If you're on the fence about joining How to Manage a Small Law Firm, my thing is to just jump in. As I said, I should have done it 8 years ago. You know, I looked at it then, and I'm literally in the same spot I was. And I've just been making excuses after excuses. And that's one of the things. I'm ready to move to the next level, and I know I can't do it on my own. And with the help of How to Manage and people in this group, I know I'll be able to do it, and it's going to take me and my family to better places.
In reality, it helped me realize that there is no magic pill, right? In any part of my life. But it also did something that I didn't expect. It elevated my standards, right? Both as an owner of my business and in my life, right? And it's not just for me. So my wife plays a huge role in the firm. She's at every event that I go to, she comes along with, and we've elevated our lives as a couple. We don't deal with bullshit from people anymore. My wife was a serial Kohl's shopper, had to have 50 items, probably spending the amount of money that you could go and buy one item for, right? So instead of buying the cheap, going to the dollar store and buying something that's crap, going to break in 2 weeks, we'll go buy it from a store that will have a better quality item. So there's that standard that's changed. But in terms of my firm, it's also gotten me to look at things differently. In the sense of now I would think of, if I had to spend $10,000 on something before, I would be able to say, holy shit, I got to spend $10,000. Now I can sit down and spend $20,000 or $30,000 and look at it as it's not a big deal. It's going to take me this number of clients to get that back, which when you look at things that way, it makes life a little bit easier. You don't feel so stressed spending the money when you have to spend it, which is a huge relief. And I want to say the absolute biggest thing was I did a mastermind that made me come to the realization that I need to stop listening to everybody's advice and taking it to heart. Because what it was doing was it was fucking with my head, and it was causing my wife and I had tension because I was hiding the fact that the firm was sinking, right? Because I was so embarrassed. And then, the other great part of it is I made a ton of friends in the legal community. I kind of tried to stay isolated because I didn't like a lot of the attorneys in my area where I was working. So it's given me a lot of benefits, more than I would have ever expected. Some changes that have occurred in my life is, so I've been able to go and drop off my daughter at school and pick her up from school every day. Not something I think I could have done before, because if I let, everything kind of could have imploded because the firm was relying just on me, right? So that was one benefit. We've paid down a ton of debt personally and in the business in the last year because now I've got the skills to manage the money better. Our life is starting to look a little bit better. We see the light at the tunnel where we sit down as a couple and look at the figures of our business. My wife gets a report every first of the month, show what we did last month. It makes the fights that were occurring over money not occur, because now she sees what's going on. She can see why I was so stressed out one month, or she could see where my embarrassment was occurring in the past. I was very embarrassed about the fact that my firm was not producing the money I needed it to produce for my family. So she was able to see all those things. We do things as a couple now. When it comes to spending money, we don't think as much as we used to. So one of the greatest things that happened in 2020 is I put myself on payroll. So I'm automatically making more money than I was in previous years because I wasn't paying myself consistently in previous years, right? So what I do now is I get paid every 2 weeks. I get the same salary as another attorney in the office. But the benefit I get is I get profit distributions, right? Nobody else in the firm takes profit distributions because nobody else owns it. So our income probably this year, I'm going to be at 75% more than last year. So last year, I think we made like $25,000 take home. This year already we're at $75,000 or $80,000. So it's a big jump. And we're in October, November, and December. We already have our projections, and it looks like we're going to be I should be able to take home another $30,000 or $40,000 this year. So look at it from last year, making $20,000 take home to 140, right? If I did the math right, somewhere around there. It's a big difference.
Oh, life has changed drastically from a year or even 2 years ago. I would have never thought of owning my own law firm. I worked for other lawyers and just assumed that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then about 16 months ago, my appendix burst. And I was laying in the hospital bed, and my 2 minor children were at home. Absolute panic when they're like, you're having emergency surgery. So that moment, my life changed, and I do estate planning. I plan for incapacity. Maybe not have planned the best for my own incapacity. So a dear friend of mine was like, open your own law firm. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to begin. And today, I've been in practice for a year, and I have exceeded revenue goals. And like I said, have a plan for where I'm going. So I looked at the financial commitment, and I'm like, $1,500 a month is huge. But I talked to my dad, who's a very successful businessman, and he said, you're gonna have to take steps. You've never run a law firm before. Yes, I have a million degrees, and I have a CPA, an MBA, my JD, and my LLM. None of those taught me how to run a law firm. So the success stories absolutely inspired me. So today, when I was listening to everybody, I'm like, that's going to be me next year. That's where I want to be. I have my plan to increase revenues by 50%, 150%, and then 300%. And I heard today, I can do that. With the help of HTM, I can make that dream happen. So if you are teetering, just make a jump, make a leap of faith, believe in yourself, and be all in.
You know, the joke is, we call it the bubble, right? And it's always kind of a safe place to be able to go and talk to other like-minded law firm owners and bounce ideas off of one another, ask for help. It's a place where we can be vulnerable with each other and talk about the highs and lows of running our firm, and just a trusted resource and group of colleagues that we can rely upon.
The most valuable part of the community is the opportunity to expand your circle to people that you wouldn't normally meet. So no matter your background or previous jobs and things that have been taught to you, all you have to do is, make the decision. And then you surround yourself with people that think different and challenge the way that you think, and allow you to dream and set goals without any generational trauma or any sort of judgment. And so the ability to just change your circle like that, I think, is really, really impactful for business.
Because what had happened is I was out for a little bit, but I really missed the community. I really missed that energy and the connection with other people that were on a like path, getting the same material. Being able to pick up the phone and call her, and I've done this with a few other people, I would have cratered. I mean, I think, because there aren't that many of us. I don't have that many colleagues that really think like entrepreneurs.
And it's important to have people to support you and to be accountable to people. And I would be lost. I feel connected to all of these people that I've had the good fortune of interacting with, whether it be in a virtual cocktail hour or through one of these meetings or through class. You develop a bond because you get so raw and so real, and everyone is so supportive of what you're trying to accomplish and what you've been through and what you're going through, because they've either been there or they're going through it with you.
Ruthless accountability coupled at the same time with incredibly productive compassion. No matter what kind of awkward, odd, unexpected thing arises in your life or your business that would threaten your peace of mind and your joy and your perspective, you can reach out and you have a team that is somehow going to answer that and give you not just some great hug, which frankly is valuable, but beyond the hug, more valuable than the hug, are tools and steps to actually move forward. And if you lack the skill to use the tool, they're going to teach you that too.
Everybody's so unique and so different.
The program isn't just about improving your bottom line. It is, but that bottom line improvement comes from within much more than policies and procedures. And How to Manage has forced me to take a deep, dark look inside, figure out who I am, what's been causing my issues, and my blocks, and has given me the tools to push through them and succeed like I'd never even dreamed. It's absolutely a cult, but I'm cool with that.
Anyone who's trying to run a business without a business plan, without a budget, without cash flow projections, without proper bookkeeping, without someone guiding and advising the business is not in it to win it. They're not being serious. You're not running a real business. You expect a business with a business plan to be more profitable than a business that doesn't have a business plan, right? All things being equal, you expect a business that has a 12-month forward-looking budget to be more profitable than a business that doesn't have a 12-month forward-looking budget. You expect a business that has a 12-month forward-looking budget to be more profitable than a business that doesn't have a 12-month forward-looking budget. All things being equal, you have a business where the owner takes it upon him or herself to make sure that they're surrounded on a regular, recurring basis with other successful entrepreneurs who are making amazing things happen for themselves. You expect that business owner to have more success than the business owner who sits at home by themselves or says, oh, well, I'll just watch that on a video, or I'll go hang out at my local bar association and listen to a bunch of people who are making a lot of excuses about why what we experience in this room every year isn't possible. You got to understand what we experience in this room, what we actually see in your financials, what we actually hear you get up and share at the microphones, what we consider to be normal around here. Most of the lawyers in your local market, they actually think that I'm lying. Let's take a moment to also remember that there's like hundreds of thousands of solo and small law firm owners who are completely clueless about how to produce the results that we take for granted, that we consider to be normal. They have no understanding about how to create a business plan. They have no idea about how to create a marketing plan. They have no idea how to document workflow processes and systems and procedures. I see some of you looking at each other like, yeah, that was us not too long ago, right? They have no idea how to hire, train, manage, and make a profit with staff. They have no idea how to read a set of financials and feel empowered by them and see clearly what's really going on in their business by looking at the numbers. Building $1 million firm, building a multi-million-dollar firm, sustaining a multi-million-dollar law firm. It's about waking up every day and doing it, 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 until you build a system and you recruit a team who does it for you, does it for you, does it for you, does it for you, does it for you. And while they're making sure that it's getting done, getting done, getting done, getting done, getting done, you are acting like a mature entrepreneur and reviewing your numbers, reviewing your dashboard, reviewing your systems, and constantly looking for areas where you can make improvement and you get to work on the business instead of working in the business. Let me be clear. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying we can make it more simple. I'm saying it doesn't have to be so complicated. I'm saying you don't have to make it quite so hard on yourself as you do. And I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. But I am not, in any way, shape, or form, telling you that this is going to be easy. Let's have some fun. Can I get everyone whose firm grossed more than $5 million last year to please stand up and remain standing? More than $5 million, stand up and remain standing. All right. More than $3 million to stand up and remain standing. More than $2 million, remain standing, remain standing. More than $2 million, stand up and remain standing. More than $1.5 million to stand up and remain standing. More than $1 million to stand up and remain standing. Robert, is it working? Is the magic trick working? Just say yes or no. Okay, good. All right, now, everyone, I said over $1 million? More than $1 million. Or we're all standing. Good. Now, everyone whose firm broke the 7-figure barrier for the first time last year, so 2019 was your first $1 million year, get up on your chair. All right! Woo!
Last year, we did 2.2 million.
We're on target to do about 840 this year at this point.
This week, the firm has brought in $24,000.
400% growth.
That's what we're going for.
That's awesome.
So just wanted to report, thank God, we settled the case, $150,000.
How long is maternity leave going to be this time?
4.5 months.
4.5 month maternity leave. And how long was the last maternity leave?
About 4 months, almost 4.5 months.
And we met that $1 million mark just before the LQM, and wanted to give big kudos to HTM and the COO and CEO program that you guys have is just amazing. So I love being a part of it.
We still got our first fully automated marketing campaign up and running. I booked our winter plans for our RV. We're going to park it in Myrtle Beach for the entire winter. It's like 5 or 6 months.
What?
Yes, road trip. We sent out a record number of fee agreements. We still did $20,000 in revenue. I worked from home today and potty trained.
I just thought I'd share that I was out of the office the last 2 weeks, down in my my happy place at Disney World. So that's if anyone's looking to get away, they do things well. So and while I was gone, we actually I tasked the team with hiring the new receptionist. So they went through the interviews, and the new receptionist starts Monday, who I've never met. So that's kind of exciting to come back to a new hire.
And we only had one lean month during the entire COVID. So, you know, this whole 6 months that this has been going on, and even that month was not, again, it was one of those months that I would have prayed for even 18 months ago. And in July, we had a $140,000 month, which is our biggest month ever. I hired a grown-up office administrator who has taken like so much of the admin stuff off of me. You know, I'm 7 months pregnant again. And preparing for my next maternity leave. I took off 4.5 months with my first maternity leave last year. And that was great. And I was pretty hands off, but this maternity leave is gonna be like 10 times better.
Being surrounded by people that, you know, when challenges come, you know, you view them as opportunities. Because it absolutely is. It's all opportunity, and how we choose to see it and what we choose to do with it makes all the difference. And that to me is just the win-win-win.
This week, someone read that article, another lawyer, and referred me a $1 million spinal cord injury case, uninsured motorist case. This month, we're going to pass $1 million.
I launched a client care team this week at the firm, and I'm really excited about it. I promoted one of my team members to the manager of the client care team and added 4 people to the team, and everybody's working together on ways to be more responsive to the clients and to take better care of them. And I'm just really proud of them. And I'm proud of the way that I stepped back and let my team do awesome work. And I just stayed quiet in the meetings and the planning sessions, and they are awesome and had great ideas. And I feel like I've learned a whole lot about leadership lately.
This is how you kill it. This is how you take all your excuses and shove them up your ass. What time is it? 7:39. Last woman standing. They're packing up the room. Wait, they're packing up the room. The room is being packed up. And while they're packing up the room, Zyra is selling. She's selling to the last second. And hit that bell. What did you do? You just picked up extra how much?
$3,600.
An extra $3,600.
But they just paid like $2,000, so it's in the pocket already.
$2,000 already collected for a total of $3,600 from that particular client. Last woman standing. Look at this. The room is empty. It's being packed up. And while it's being packed up, no excuses. No, it's not convenient. No, you're packing up boxes. No, where'd everyone go? No, she's selling like a fucking rock star. Woo! Oh, now we got to show the board. So we sold $493,000 plus $3,600. I can't do the math, but a lot. We scheduled $1 million of estimated revenue of appointments and 124 referrals.
And then it's still
$496,000, $795. That's actual sold, not theoretical, not maybe, not wouldn't it be nice. That $496,000 is collected, signed on the line which is dotted.
B better have my money.
This is awesome.